empathetic brand starts with empathetic people. A brand doesn't exist without people that support the brand in a million daily actions. Where you start to create an empathetic brand, an empathetic organization, and an empathetic culture is with one person. It starts with you as a leader and your own sphere of influence. What are you doing to strengthen your own empathy muscle to be a model of success for everyone around you? So they point to you and say, oh, that person's really successful and this is how they're doing it. I see how success happens around here. I gave habits and practices in my book, The Empathy Edge, that started at the leadership level. Before you can talk about wanting to create an empathetic brand in the marketplace, you have to start with leadership and aspiring leadership. So even if you're an entry-level manager or you're just a marketing director or you're just a programmer, again, your sphere of influence is what matters. And the more you get a collection of people strengthening their own empathy within an organization, the more you start to change policies, you start to change practices, you start to create a culture where empathy is modeled, fostered, and rewarded. And again, it starts with one person. I'm just going to quickly give you 3 ways that you can strengthen your own empathy, and it's especially relevant to the times we're in right now because I know I've been drawing on this as we've been facing everything from the pandemic to the protests over social injustice and racial inequality. We all need to be strengthening our empathy muscle right now. And the antithesis to that is to hear people going, well, this is my experience and that's all that matters. That is the opposite of empathy. Empathy, as we've talked about, is the ability to see the world from someone else's point of view and use that information to act accordingly. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with the person. It doesn't mean that you have to just do whatever that person wants. It just means that now there's an understanding of context. There's an understanding of where people are coming from. So my first tip for you is to be curious. I've talked about this before, but curiosity is the #1 trait of empathic people. Instead of going in with your agenda, what you know, this is how I see the world, get curious with a person that might see things differently from you. Have those conversations. Why do you feel this way? Why do you think this is a way that we can get to success? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Become an investigative journalist. #2 is then to listen to the responses that you get back. And that means closing your mouth and listening and really taking in what you're hearing from someone. Active listening. Make eye contact. Maybe restate to make sure that you understand what they're saying. You can do this with someone on your team that you're giving a performance review to. You could do it with someone you disagree with politically. But take the time. If you're going to get curious and ask questions, you actually need to listen to the answers. And if you need to set a timer for yourself on how long to shut your mouth, that's helpful too. But listen, take it in. Again, it doesn't mean you're agreeing. It doesn't mean you're condoning. It doesn't mean you're going to cave in. It just means that you're going to listen and absorb. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now in terms of everything going on with understanding systemic racism. I know I am starting to read more books. I'm starting to close my mouth and listen to the conversations. I'm starting to go on activists and people of color, their feeds, their social media profiles, their posts, and read and learn and understand. Does it mean I agree 100% with what I'm reading? Not always, but now I'm getting a point of view that I never had before. That is empathy. I'm trying to understand the other point of view. And #3, find common ground. So this is great if you're in a negotiation, if you're talking to maybe a subordinate that you're having a really difficult performance review with. Again, if you're talking to someone who disagrees with you politically or ethically or whatever, is try to find common ground. Even if it's the most basic thing you could think of, like a difficult colleague, and say, hey, both of our goals here is that we meet our quarterly number. Can we agree on that? That we both want this company to be successful. We both want to keep our jobs. We both want to do the right thing by customers. Find whatever that common ground is and build from there. And again, you can use this at work or you can use this in society at large. We all can find ways that we are alike, that we agree. And that is the place to start, so that when you bathe that in listening, you bathe that in curiosity, now you can have a productive conversation. And if you think about this, if you take responsibility for doing this within your own organization or your own work, again, you become a model, you become a light. and you show what can be possible when you act with empathy, when you take an empathetic point of view, and you try to proactively problem solve from there. I hope these tips are helpful. If you've got more to add, please add them below. Thanks so much.